Good evening. Today is the third day of January 2016, and continuing with our series, Sri Aurobindo Ashram, The Early Years, we have with us once again Babu. Namaskar, Babu. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be with you, sir.
Thank you.
And we have a lot to talk about on poetry, but I wanted to cover some of the things that we had previously discussed. Could you tell us a bit about Sanjivan?
Sanjivan, he was a true artist. He had come here when he was very young. I don't know about his early days, but mother herself had taught him to draw. And we had seen some of his sketches, and you could see that he was not very good at it. Because I also have done a bit of drawing and all. So I saw that his drawing was not in good proportion and all. But anyway, he persevered, and then he became quite a good one. But then he went out, I don't know for what reason, and he became a commercial artist. But then he came back to the ashram, and at that time I knew him, and he's a wonderful man, really a wonderful man. And his drawings and all, they used to be very, very meticulous. He always gave a beautiful finish to all his work. And I don't know if you are interviewing Preeti Ghosh.
Yes, we did 2 sessions with Preeti.
So then you must have learned from her that she was a student of Sanjivan.
Yes.
And she learned quite a lot from Sanjivan. But I know him as a man, and as a man he was very gentle and really a wonderful person. You know, there was something in his very presence. And at the same time he was a very good photographer as well as a painter. But what we saw was his humility. Very humble. Never had any airs or anything about him. And one incident I'll tell you. You know Pondicherry summer.
Yes.
How hot it can be. Now, it so happened that from Villianur, we were coming back to Pondicherry in a jeep, and then past the station and quite a bit far. In those days, Pondicherry, once you cross the boulevards, then you are out in the open. So past those places, we met Sanjivan around 1 o'clock in the afternoon with an umbrella. He was going towards the west. And we stopped the jeep and we asked him, Sanjivan, what are you doing here in this hot sun? He gave a very sheepish smile. He said, I saw some beautiful cloud formation. And from the city you can't get a full view. So I was coming out.
How much younger was he to you?
He was definitely around between 50 and 60 at that time. Between 50 and 60.
And we also were going to ask you about Bhavani Prasad.
He was another wonderful person. He died very recently. He had come here as a full-fledged sannyasi. He belonged to he was the disciple of some sannyasi group. He and 2 others came with him, and they joined the ashram. Now, I had seen him. He was in his sannyasi dress, white, not ochre, but white. And he used to be dressed in that way. Then once he came here, he found that mother gave a lot of importance to physical activities. Overnight, he joined the playground, started wearing shorts, and he used to practice like anything. All the sports items, athletics, and all that.
And gave up his dress.
Gave up the dress. Gave up the dress almost overnight. And then he used to practice and all that. And then naturally used to banter because, he had joined everything rather late. He had a beautiful body, very handsome man, very, very handsome, tall. He reminded me a little of Krishna Prem.
Oh.
You had seen Krishna Prem, but Krishna Prem was much taller, much fairer naturally. But this man also was very erect and very well built and very fair. So anyway, he started doing all the physical activities, and we used to tease him a little, and but he used to take his practice very seriously. Now, once in those days, there used to be a sports event, athletics competition. It used to go on for 2 months, from 1st of July to 31st of August.
In the heat.
No, it was always in the afternoon, around 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And mother came and watched each and every item, each and every one, so that whatever we did in front of mother. And mother used to be there. And especially for the running events, she used to hold the tape at the finish line. So it was a great joy to breast the tape in front of her,
Yes,
to come first.
Yes.
Now there's I think middle distance item. I don't remember how much. I think it was maybe 800 meters or so. Mm-hmm. And Bhavani Prasad had practiced a lot for the item. And naturally we were cheering him. When the item started, we were cheering him. And he was coming first. It was not, we didn't expect, but he was coming first. And we were cheering him, Bhavani Prasad ji, just a little more. And he was coming. Mm-hmm. Just when he was about to breast the tape, he slipped. And he fell. He fell on the track. And a kind of universal groan went up. Because we all wanted that he should win. But he didn't win, naturally. Those who were behind, they caught up. But then he got up. And after he got up, I remember, I went to him and said that I'm feeling very sorry for you that you couldn't finish and you didn't get the first place. I said, no, but it doesn't matter. Then he looked at me and said, did you see where I fell? I fell at mother's feet. And actually it was that. He really, absolutely flat on the ground, but exactly at mother's feet. Yes. These kind of people, I don't think we'll find them anymore.
We've heard some things about Nripendra, but not many. A couple of things about the children. Do you have some remembrances?
Only one or two things. It is that he loved children, absolutely loved children. And he was extremely, I shouldn't say ascetic, but like a proper sadhak. He wouldn't take anything extra, more than what was given in the ashram about food and all. And he led a very regular life, and he was always very punctual to come to the dispensary. There was only one and only dispensary at that time, the present one, and he used to be always there. And when little children, they broke a leg or something or arm, and they were put in plaster, hard plaster, then he used to call them and draw some flowers and something interesting on the plaster, just to take their mind off theirs, pain, and all that he used to do. And then in the dining room in those days, the food was, especially lunchtime, the food was very, very bland. So bland that people like me, we hardly ate any lunch. We used to just have a little rice and curds, and we used to wait for either breakfast or 4 o'clock tiffin. There we had bread and butter, so we used to live on that. But there were others who were very yogic, and they ate that food. Now, at one time, lots of spinach was grown in the ashram, and they sent all that to the dining room, and dining room refused. They said no, because we don't have the manpower, and spinach cooking is a very lengthy process, and we don't have so much time, so give it to the cows. And when Ripenda heard it, he said that, but this has such a lot of food value. So in the dispensary, I will cook. I'll have it cooked for the children. And at 9:30, it was called vitamin. And it was very tasty, only with spinach and some other things added, some spices and all. And everybody, all the children used to go to the dispensary and they used to have that break. And what Nipinda started at that time is still continuing. Now it has become much more elaborate and children get much better stuff. But another contribution of Nipinda is the nursing home. That was his dream child. Now, we won't realize, means what he had achieved. It was an Herculean task, because at the time when he had started the nursing home, nobody could even imagine that such a thing was possible, because ashram was going through quite a bad financial time. Financially, the foundation stone was laid, and then gradually the building was coming up. And I don't remember, he passed away in 1981. By then, the nursing home I think was already functioning, but I don't remember it very well, because the time, it gets sort of telescoped. I can't quite remember which comes when. But
I heard that he liked animals.
that was my, that was my personal experience. Nipinda used to work really hard. By 7:30, he would be in the dispensary. Then almost till 12, he would be there. Then after that, he would go to his room and he would have his lunch and rest a little. Again at 2:30, he would come and open the dispensary. And then it would go on till 5 o'clock. And he was always present there, always, all the time. So I remember that we found a little squirrel which was caught in wire. And we managed to extricate it, but then we found that its lower incisors, they had got stuck in the wire. And the squirrel was struggling, and I don't know how it happened that the teeth came out and almost closed the mouth. So if we left it in the wild, the squirrel would die. He wouldn't be able to eat. So we thought what to do. And at that time, I don't think there were any vets available. It was in the early days. So we thought we'll ask Nipinda. We knocked at his door knowing that he was having his rest at that time and it was well earned. But still, we thought that the squirrel's predicament was more important. And he didn't bat an eyelid. He got up immediately, took his keys, came to the dispensary, and with a lot of care, he cut the teeth to the proper level. And then the squirrel was all right, and then we let it go. So that was Epinda.
You mentioned someone that I had not heard of, Rani
Rani Moitro.
Moy.
Rani Moitro, she always kept a very low profile. The first thing that one noticed about her was her beauty. I think she was around 50 when I came to know her. Her husband was a professor, Dr. Shishir Kumar Moitro, in Benares Hindu University. But I don't think she had any children. Her cousin was Vishwanath Lahiri, who was in charge of the electric department and construction department and the drawing office, who joined a little later. He was her cousin. Now, she was very, very fair and really a beautiful lady, and in the ashram sari, very simply, but always very neatly dressed. And she used to look after Dilip Kumar Roy. Because Dilip Kumar Roy, he was really a child in every way. He just couldn't manage his things at all. And he had a big place, what is the present treasure nursing home. The upstairs was his. I think the whole house was bought by him. He was a man who was born with the proverbial silver spoon in his mouth. He had everything really. Looks, intelligence, wealth, everything. And he left everything and joined the ashram. But about Dilip Kumar Roy, I'll tell you a little later. Rani Maitro used to take care of his, household, look after the servant and all that. I don't know how much time I have because I've got some interesting stories about Dilip Kumar Roy.
You have lots of time.
Okay.
We have all the time you want.
Okay. Then I'll tell you that, but afterwards.
I also want to ask you about Krishna Prem later.
Acha, and I'll tell you.
So now, Rani Moy.
Rani Maitro. So what happened is that when we first came to the ashram in 1944, because my aunt was an actress, and we came with Aniruddha Sircar. He was another wonderful man, extremely talented, and he was a humorist par excellence. Means almost every moment he could cut a joke and make everybody laugh. So we came there, and he was very close to Dilip Kumar Roy. So he took us to Dilip Roy's house, and there we met Rani Maitro. Then once I started staying here, mother gave me a room. It so happened that the room was in the same house where Rani Maitro lived upstairs. And I don't know if mother spoke to her, but she became my local guardian.
Oh.
So she used to also look after me. And she was always a very gentle person, but with a lot of what do you call character. That is very firm and really a wonderful, wonderful lady. Kumar Roy, his father was a very, very well-known dramatist and poet. And he has written lots of beautiful patriotic songs. So, and he came from a very wealthy family. They were kind of zamindars. And Dilip Kumar Roy was the only child, and he had lost his mother quite early. So, and he was a brilliant mathematician. So his father sent him to England. The father himself had gone to England, and he had written some very humorous songs as well as some patriotic songs and all that. But he had a very good sense of humor. So he sent Dilip Kumar Roy for studying mathematics. But Dilip Kumar Roy was also a musician, a born musician. So he ended up by studying Western music. And he made a synthesis of Indian music and Western music. And many of his tunes have both, is a combination of the two.
I see.
So that was. And he never married. And everybody, people used to actually just see him and come under his spell. Means he was, one could not help loving him. He was such a wonderful man. But then at a very early age, he was looking for a guru. So once he had come to, he had written to Sri Aurobindo that he wanted to take Diksha. And Sri Aurobindo had told him, not now. So he had gone back. Maybe he had come here also, but then he had gone back. And then he was still looking for a guru. And he and Nalalnikanta Sircar, they were great friends. That is again another story. But because he was looking for a guru, Nalalnikanta Sircar took him to a Grihi yogi. That is, he was a family man, but he was very advanced spiritually. And Sri Aurobindo had talked about him, that he had lots of experiences and lots of spiritual power. So, Nalalnikanta Sircar took Dilip Kumar Roy to this gentleman.
Where was he?
In Murshidabad, in Bengal.
In Bengal.
And they sat before him, and then Dilip Kumar Roy said that I want you to give me Diksha. Diksha is initiation. Then he meditated and told Dilip Kumar, but I can't give you initiation. You already have a guru. He said, Guru, I have not gone to anybody. He said, no, I saw Sri Aurobindo standing behind you. Then Dilip Kumar said, yes, true, I had approached Sri Aurobindo, but he refused me. They said, no, you try and remember. He didn't refuse you. He said, come back after some time. Yes, he did that. So, but he meant that you have to finish your hernia operation. He had some hernia problem.
Yes.
And in those days, there was hardly any facilities in Pondicherry. So let's say that to get yourself cured, that's what he meant, and then come.
Oh, how beautiful.
And this man knew all about it. It's very interesting that his granddaughter is in the ashram now. This Bharat Majumdar. His granddaughter lives in the ashram. And now about Dilip Kumar. So I came to Dilip Kumar's house, and that became my second home because I used to have my meals there.
Oh.
And especially just before going to school, I used to make up for missing my lunch. So I used to eat a lot and then go to school. Now one day something very interesting happened. It so happened that Dilip Kumar had a manservant who used to work, about 4 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. Now he knew no language except Tamil, and Dilip Kumar did not know Tamil at all. He could manage only English. Okay, so one day it so happened that this man used to go away, leaving the kitchen door open, and a cat used to come and drink up the milk. Now Dilip Kaur had to explain to him not to leave the kitchen door open. So how he did it? He actually did it. And he showed exactly what he did. This man's name was Venugopal. So he said, Venugopal, you stand here. So he stood there. Dilip Kaur Roy kept the kitchen door open. Then he went on all fours and went on saying meow, 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 and entered the kitchen. Then he drank the milk. Means he pretended and you understood? And then he came out. Then he came out and closed the door. Then he came again on all fours up to the door and went on doing meow sound and said, "See, the cat can't go." And the man learned this lesson.
Wonderful story. Wonderful story.
But we used to have all these kind of things all the time, with Dilip Kumar Roy.
Tell us about his singing.
About,
His singing.
about his singing. Oh, that also, I made a terrible faux pas. He was a great singer, there's no doubt about it. And I didn't have anything of music. I don't know how, although I was brought up among musicians and flute players and instrumentalists, but somehow I didn't have anything in music. And when often he used to have musical soiree. So he used to sing and people used to come and they were all devotional songs. So people loved it. And it was a wonderful atmosphere. The lights would be dimmed and he would sit in the central hall and he would sing. And it would go on for hours. Now, I was very restless. I was very small, didn't understand singing. And so, whenever I knew that they would be singing, I was to escape. Now, one day, that I had become about, I think, 16 at that time. And I had become very fond of reading Somerset Maugham's books. So, and I knew that Dilip Kumar Roy knew about Somerset Maugham and he had corresponded with him, so he knew all about him. And he had lots of books and they had come recently. So I thought of borrowing a book. So I came in and I found that the thing was in progress. So what could I do? I had to wait because I didn't want to disturb and I couldn't escape. So I had to wait. And I was in an adjacent room. I was just sitting quietly and waiting. Then after, I think about 2 hours, the singing was over. And everybody dispersed. Suddenly Dilip Kumar Roy, he stood up and he told Rani Maitra, "See Rani, oh, it's a wonderful day for me. It's actually a red-letter day." Then Rani Maitra said, "Why, what's happened?" They thought, and there were some others also present. They said that must have had some spiritual experience. So I said, "Why, what's happened? Tell us all about it." "No, nothing like that. But you see, Babu is sitting there and listening to my song. That has never happened." And observed everything. And I made a terrible faux pas. And I said, "No, it is not for your singing. I wanted to borrow the book."
Krishna. Was there more on Dilip that you
Oh,
can
there
share
are
with us?
lots
Please,
and lots and
please
lots.
tell some more.
Lots and lots. Dilip Kumar, he was a worshipper of Krishna. So he had a little image of Sri Krishna and he used to always put some flowers there, light a few incense sticks, and sometimes I used to help him. So, and I used to get the flowers, I used to arrange, and he and I got along very well. And sometimes he used to tease me. One day suddenly he lit the incense stick and said that, "You have seen the miracle?" I said, "What miracle?" He said, "How I touched it like that and the light came up. Wasn't that a miracle?" That kind of teasing. So anyway, there was a little garden downstairs in his room, in his house, and in the courtyard. And there used to be some flowers. Now in those days, there were many gardeners in the ashram. And some of them used to go wherever there were flowers. Even, there was a story that even from government house they took flowers. So there was some problem there. But anyway, so to the ashram houses, naturally they used to go early in the morning and they used to pluck the flowers. Now, Dilip Kumar used to get up because these people would come around 3:30 in the morning. So Dilip Kumar would get up and around 5 o'clock or so, and he would find everything, all the trees are denuded, all the flowers taken. So one day he got up early, saw the gentleman who was taking the flowers, and said that please leave a few flowers on the tree, because I have an image of Krishna. I like to put flowers in front. And that man said, "What? You are in the ashram of Mother and Swarnando and you worship Krishna? This is not proper at all." And gave him a long lecture. Dilip Kumar didn't argue with him, knew that he was very, a hot-headed person, so he didn't argue with him. But he wrote a letter to Swarnando telling him about the incident. He said, "I just told him, it's not that I told him not to take flowers. I told him that leave a few for me. That's all." Then Swarnando said, "Dilip, you know that when people come to the ashram, they're supposed to surrender everything that they have, that they possess. But the problem is that they start by surrendering their common sense."
That's where that. I never knew the origin
Yes,
of
yeah.
that. Oh. I did hear, or read, I should say, that Sri Aurobindo once said to Dilip, or wrote to him, if you can give yourself to Krishna, you can give yourself to me.
Oh, no, that
Very
I didn't know.
beautiful, very
That I
beautiful.
didn't know.
Oh, it touched
That
me
I
deep.
didn't know. But he continued till the end. He continued till the end and he used to worship, and it was a well-known thing. Then lots of important people used to come. For example, the French governor, Monsieur Baron. He used to come quite a few in the afternoon, quite a few. That once, he was, at that time, Swarnando was teaching Aniruddha to write poetry. And then they were discussing that whether a poem should be understood or not. And then it seems he had told Baron that some of these modern French poets I don't understand at all. And Baron had told him that he himself was a poet. And he had told him that why do you want to understand the poem? And Dilip couldn't quite appreciate that. So he wrote to Swarnando about it. Then Swarnando says, no, he's right. It is not that you should understand it mentally, but you should feel. Something like that, not the exact words, but something similar.
We'll,
And there was now about Krishna Prem.
yes.
So Dilip used to have lots of, because you see, Dilip had met both Krishna Prem as well as Chadwick Arjava
Yes.
in Lucknow.
Oh,
In Lucknow, Dilip's uncle, who was also a singer, a patriotic singer of patriotic songs, as well as composer of patriotic poems. So Dilip used to go to him regularly. He was a very well-known man, Atul Prasad Sen. So they used to go, and they, naturally, Lucknow is far away from Bengal. So all the prominent Bengalis, they knew one another. So this Atul Prasad Sen introduced him to a gentleman who was the principal of a college there. And his wife's name was Munimala Devi. Now, I'll digress a little. Later, I came to know that when mother was in France, and at that time, mother didn't know about Swarnando, nothing, she had met a Bengali gentleman there who had given her the Gita and had told her, you read it. You read it, it will help you. And that's how she came to know about the Gita. And this gentleman was the same principle. The world is a very small place.
Yes.
How the connections come is unthinkable, really. Really unthinkable. Now I'll go on. So Dilip Kumar Roy had met both Chadwick and Krishna Prem, whose name was Ronald Nixon, I think.
Yes, Nixon.
And then he had met them, and he was very outgoing, and people used to like him. And he was very well educated, so they used to talk on really high class subjects. But then Dilip Kumar Roy came back and joined the ashram. Soon after that, Chadwick also came and joined the ashram and became Arjava. Now, about Krishna Prem became the disciple of Munimala Devi. And she gave him the name Krishna Prem. She established an ashram in Almora. Okay?
I see.
And in that ashram, there were not many disciples. And she used to, her way of sadhana was to think of Krishna as a son, as her own son. So exactly as Krishna's own mother, Yashoda, used to look after Krishna and discipline him and feed him and everything. So she also did exactly in that way. And this Ronald Nixon became her disciple. But he used to have regular correspondence with Dilip Kumar Roy. And Dilip Kumar Roy had this habit that whatever letter he wrote, Dilip Kumar would send to Sri for his comments. Then if Sri gave some comment, that he would send to Krishna Prem. And like that, there was a connection. And then one day, we heard that Krishna Prem was coming to the ashram. And I was only, I think, about 14 at that time. And I saw Dilip Kumar took him for the darshan. And he was a tall man in ochre dress, bare-bodied, and very fair, very well built. I haven't forgotten the face I still remember. And then later on I came to know about their correspondence and all that. I read a few here and there. So that's about Krishna.
I have also, yes. We'll take a break for a few minutes.